Ever get that feeling there's like a hidden layer to reality, something just beneath the surface of what we see? Tonight, we're diving headfirst into a really wild mid-20th century story. It captivated millions, and honestly, it still kind of murmurs in the shadows of fringe beliefs. We're talking about the Shaver mystery.
Yeah, and what's so fascinating right from the start is how this thing managed to weave together all these threads. Lost civilizations, crazy advanced technology, mind control, and this whole subterranean world.
Right, with these like malevolent beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beings both bizarre and menacing. And it wasn't just a story, was it? For a lot of people, it felt real. It blurred that line between, well, fiction and their actual reality.
Totally. And for this deep dive, you've pulled together some great source excerpts. They really unpack the genesis, the core ideas, some really out there stuff, and how it gripped people and then how it sort of faded. So, our goal tonight for you listening is to navigate this really strange but influential piece of cultural history. Give you the key insights, understand its complexities, its echoes, without needing to check under the bed for Dero later.
Good plan.
We're looking for those aha moments. So let's get into it. Where did this incredible story even, start?
Well, like a lot of these unconventional narratives, it starts with one person and then a way to get it out there.
Okay.
In this case, it was Richard S. Shaver. He was a welder, lived in Pennsylvania. And The Conduit, amazing stories magazine. Huge sci-fi pulp mag back in the 40s.
Amazing stories. And the editor was Raymond A. Palmer, right? I've read he had a real knack for the sensational. Knew what readers wanted.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Palmer knew his audience. He knew how to push buttons. And then Shaver shows up with these claims that are, well, extraordinary is putting it mildly.
No opinion of claims.
So Shaver said he'd rediscovered this ancient language, the source, he thought, of all human languages.
Okay, interesting.
But it went way further. He said he could access something called racial memory.
Racial memory?
Yeah, the idea that we carry memories, knowledge from our ancestors.
Yeah.
Like in our DNA or something. And this memory revealed this really disturbing, forgotten history of Earth.
Wow. Okay. And this all came together in 1945 with I Remember Lemuria.
That's the one, originally titled Warning to Future Man, which already sounds pretty dramatic.
Yeah, definitely pulpy.
But here's the kicker. Palmer didn't present it as fiction. The magazine called it an amazing discovery.
Whoa. Not fiction, a discovery.
Exactly. And that editorial choice, you could argue, that's what lit the fuse. It turned Shaver's maybe personal beliefs into this huge public fascination. The Shaver mystery was born right there.
So what was this disturbing history? What did Shaver's racial memory supposedly uncover? What's the core of this mystery?
Okay, so at its heart is this epic, almost mythological history. Shaver described an ancient race.
The Malevolent?
No, he called them the Elder Race. Yeah, giants. And they had incredibly advanced tech. Rays, he called them. Stuff that could manipulate matter, even thoughts. And they built these huge, elaborate cities deep inside the earth.
Subterranean cities, built by giants with ray guns. Okay, this is where it gets really wild.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
So these giants, the Elder Race, what happened to them?
Good question.
Well, according to Shaver, they figured out the sun was giving off this harmful radiation. It was causing them to degenerate, like physically and mentally.
So they had to leave.
They had to abandon the surface,
Yeah.
But they didn't just vanish. They left behind their underground cities, their powerful tech, and crucially, their degenerate offspring.
The offspring. And this is where we get the Dero and Dero. Is that right?
Exactly right. The descendants split into two groups. First, the Dero. It's short for detrimental robots.
Detrimental robots. Okay, that doesn't sound good.
No, they're the main villains. Shaver pictured them as grotesque, totally malevolent, often deformed, insane, living in those abandoned underground cities.
And using the tech.
And using the Elder Race's ray machines, but twisted for purely sadistic reasons. Basically, to torture and control humans living up here on the surface.
Wow, okay. So underground robots torturing us with ancient rays. That's, yeah, nightmare fuel.
Pretty much.
What about the Dero? They were less bad, I think.
Yeah, the Dero, short for integrative robots, also degenerate descendants, but Shaver painted them as less inherently evil. They actually tried to counteract the Dero.
Like the good guys, or less bad guys.
Kind of. Maybe subtly helping humanity trying to mitigate the Dero's damage. But they're shown as way less numerous, less powerful than the Dero, the underdogs, I guess.
Okay, so these Dero and their rays, how are they supposedly affecting us? Up here?
But this is where it really dives deep into conspiracy. The Dero's rays were blamed for, well, almost everything bad.
Like what?
Mental illness, for starters. Schizophrenia, paranoia that was supposedly the rays messing with our minds. Unexplained accidents, factory explosions, train wrecks, maybe even natural disasters. Potentially Dero interference.
So a bad day wasn't just a bad day. It could be Dero.
According to the believers,
Yeah.
that was a real possibility. And Shaver claimed they used the rays to project voices, thoughts, images right into people's heads.
Voices in your head.
Yep, driving people mad or subtly manipulating them. Shaver himself claimed he was getting these mental intrusions constantly.
Jeez. What else? Physical stuff too?
Oh yeah. Physical ailments, weird sicknesses, chronic pain, all potentially linked back to Dero ray attacks.
And these underground cities, they weren't totally sealed off. People could stumble into them.
That's what Shaver claimed. Hidden entrances all over the place. Inside caves, abandoned mines, old tunnels. You could just wander in.
Did he describe them?
Oh yeah, in detail. Fantastical descriptions filled with humming machinery, bizarre structures, and always the threat of running into the Dero.
And Shaver insisted this wasn't fiction. He said it happened to him.
Exactly. That was his whole thing. He maintained he'd been abducted by the Dero, tortured, subjected to their mind control stuff.
Seriously.
That's what he said. And his racial memory supposedly let him access all this traumatic knowledge so he could warn humanity. He even claimed he learned their ancient language while captured.
The language? Mantong, was it?
That's the one, Mantong.
Which brings us back to Palmer, the editor. He must have known how unbelievable this sounded. Why present it as potentially real? Was it just about sales?
Palmer's decision is, absolutely central. He didn't just file it under fiction. He framed them as true stories.
Right.
Often adding his own editorial notes, questioning reality, hinting Shaver might be onto some deeper truth. Motivation, hard to say for sure. Maybe boosting circulation, maybe he's genuinely intrigued himself. Probably a bit of both.
And it worked, didn't it? Circulation for amazing stories supposedly went through the roof.
Oh, it exploded. People were absolutely captivated.
So what was Palmer's public line? How did he justify it?
His argument was basically, well, even if it's not literally true, maybe there's a kernel of truth in there. Maybe it taps into some hidden reality we don't understand. And he actively encouraged readers, send us your weird experiences. Tell us what you've seen or heard.
And people did. I remember reading the magazine was flooded with letters.
Absolutely flooded. It was extraordinary. Readers writing in, describing their own Dero experiences.
Like what?
Strange voices they'd heard, weird accidents, just this feeling of being watched or, manipulated somehow.
Yeah. So it created this feedback loop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A really bizarre, unsettling feedback loop. The fictional stories seem to be getting confirmed by real-world experiences, at least in the minds of the believers. That line between fiction and reality just got incredibly fuzzy for a lot of readers.
So people weren't just reading it, they were living it in a way, actively engaging.
The engagement was intense. Many people genuinely believed in the Dero, and you've seen in the sheer number of personal stories that came pouring in. It's fascinating how a sci-fi mag, just by blurring that fact-fiction line, could so deeply affect how people saw their own lives.
And didn't people start forming clubs, like Shaver Mystery Clubs?
They did. Which shows, a level of dedication way beyond just enjoying a story.
Right.
These clubs were places for believers to connect, share stories, reinforce the whole Dero threat idea. But this also drew a lot of criticism. Other sci-fi writers, commentators, they accused Palmer of exploiting Shaver, basically feeding a delusion. Some called it irresponsible, even dangerous.
And for the believers, it seems like almost anything could be seen as proof.
Totally. That's how belief systems work, right? Shaver's racial memory idea, they saw it as a unique way to access hidden history.
And the ancient language, Mantong.
Including Mantong in the stories. Believers took that as solid proof. Shaver had a real connection to this ancient past. Any weird noise, hums, vibrations from underground.
Dero machinery.
Obviously Dero machinery, yeah.
And it's kind of sobering thinking about people with real mental health struggles.
That's a really crucial and concerning point.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone hearing voices, feeling paranoid. The Dero theory offered this ready-made explanation.
Which might stop them seeking actual help.
Potentially. It could delay or replace getting professional help, which is worrying. And even everyday stuff, missing persons reports, bad accidents, sometimes got woven into the Dero narrative. Odd caves or sinkholes.
Entrances to the underworld.
Potential entrances, yeah. Easy to see how it could all fit together if you were inclined to believe.
But eventually, the mainstream beliefs started to fade, right? Skepticism took over. What caused this shift?
Several things, really. I mean, the scientific community just dismissed it. No evidence.
Like,
Zero.
right.
Psychologists, psychiatrists, they started raising alarms about Shaver's mental state and Palmer's role in promoting it all.
And the sci-fi world?
The wider sci-fi community got pretty critical. They felt Palmer was kind of dragging the whole genre down, making it look ridiculous.
Understandable.
And ultimately, despite all the letters, all the claims, no actual concrete proof ever turned up. No Dero artifacts, no verified entrances, nothing.
So interest just fizzled out.
Pretty much. By the late 1940s, mainstream interest was way down. Palmer eventually shifted amazing stories back to more traditional sci-fi. The main wave had passed.
But it didn't just vanish, did it? The Shaver mystery seems to have left this kind of lingering influence.
Oh, absolutely. It didn't disappear entirely. It played a big role in popularizing Hollow Earth ideas, subterranean civilizations. That stuff keeps popping up in fringe circles. And the themes is mind control, hidden rays. You can see echoes of that in later conspiracy theories about like government mind control,
right,
or aliens using similar tech.
So it was sort of a precursor.
In some ways, yeah. It even connects a bit to early ufology. Some people tried linking the Dero to hidden alien bases underground, that kind of thing.
So it helped lay some groundwork for conspiracy theories we still hear about.
I think you could say that. It's a really fascinating case study. You see how one person's intense belief, a true believer, gets amplified by the media, and boom, it's a cultural phenomenon. It really highlights our tendency to want explanations for weird stuff and how powerful anecdotes can be, even if they aren't reliable.
And that blurring of fiction and reality.
Hugely. It definitely contributed to that in the public mind. And the Dero themselves. They're like the perfect archetype, aren't they? The unseen enemy in the shadows, causing all sorts of problems. That's a classic conspiracy trope.
It really is. So maybe something to think about as you go about your day. What unseen narratives, what modern Shaver mysteries might be shaping how we see reality right now without us even noticing? And what does our willingness to maybe buy into those narratives say about us? Our hopes, our fears, how we make sense of things?
That's a great question to chew on. Maybe the biggest mystery isn't what's under the ground, but, what's going on in our own heads, our amazing capacity to believe.